Okay, my name is Jim Bray. I'm the Chair of the Environmental Commission in Lower Makefield Township, and we are going to put into motion our meeting agenda for October 9th. Oh, I'm sorry, November 13th. I'm reading from the old minutes. November 13th, 2025. All right, let me get my. Okay. Give me 1 minute to get the proper agenda. Okay, the first item on the agenda is to review with the approval of September 11th and October 9th, 2025 meeting minutes. I've sent a copy of that to everybody, and is everybody okay with those meetings, or does anybody have any changes or additions?
No.
Right, then I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. So the minutes of September 11th and October 9th, 2025 are approved. All right, the next item on the agenda is, or I should say, EAC project assignment. The first one was the Heritage Tree Ordinance, and I think we talked to you, Cheryl, and you expressed an interest in that. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to send you a copy of the ordinance and some information, okay, that will be very, very helpful to you. When I say, good afternoon, good evening, John. Years ago, I had a friend in the Master Gardener Network, and named, forget what his name was, John something. But anyway, Bucks County at some time actually performed a register of historic type trees in the whole county. And we have a copy of that. And it's listed by tree, by property, by species, and that sort of thing. And I think it's invaluable because it also goes down to the township level. So we have a list on there of trees that probably could be classified as heritage trees in Lower Makefield Township. And I have some other information too that I'll see that you get shortly, okay?
Okay.
Now, the first tree that should be placed on the heritage tree list is we already have a plaque for it, and that's the cucumber magnolia at Patterson Farm. And we think that, and Alan and I did the measurements along with somebody from the State Forestry Association. We think not only is it the biggest tree in Pennsylvania, but I think it might be nationally the largest cucumber magnolia. If you haven't seen it, you ought to go take a look at it. This is one big tree. Okay. All right. Pardon? No, I forget. Do you remember, Alan? I mean, they were really, really large.
What was the question?
The cucumber magnolia at Patterson Farm. Do you remember the circumference of that tree?
Was it like 21 feet or something, somewhere around
I
there?
think it was over 20 foot.
Yeah.
You know, round. And I think the tall, maybe around 100 feet. I forget. So that would be the first, I think, entry in the heritage tree ordinance. Now, it's already a heritage tree, but the official papers haven't been signed. So again, I don't want to take up too much time with that. But, you know, you and I can communicate, Cheryl, and I have some really good information on that. The other item is the tree tenders versus shade tree commissions. We have to do something about the maintenance to our trees in Lower Makefield Township. The maintenance staff simply does not have enough people. I know a lot of these guys. They're very, very hardworking, but there's just not enough people, I think, to service these trees the way they should be serviced. And John, I think you and I talked about one time too. And the problem is, based upon the state taxation requirements and levels, we really can't hire additional people unless we have I guess, a reassessment of all the properties in the township. What, is there anything you could add to that, John?
Yeah, so there's a cap on the general fund millage that we can assess, and that cap is 14 mills. And that cap is based on the assessed value of properties, but Bucks County hasn't had a reassessment since 1972, which means that cap is 5 times more restrictive on Lower Makefield than if Lower Makefield were, say, in Montgomery County or another county that's had a recent reassessment. And so that's a challenge for us in terms of being able to get additional revenue for projects like this and others. And so what we've done is we've spoken with the county and our state representatives, and we've, at the state level, this isn't just a Lower Makefield issue. We have the PSATs, which is the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. You didn't know that we had a lobbying group, right?
Mhm.
We have a resolution that is statewide that we want to essentially harmonize the caps between first and second class townships to give us more leeway on that. So we're working on resolving that.
Yeah, that's why I think either a tree tender organization or some kind of a shade tree commission would be very, very beneficial here. In the reading I've done about both, the Shade Tree Commission basically is literally a whole new commission established, and I'm not sure if Lower Makefield Township actually would want another major commission. So my personal feeling is I'm leaning towards some kind of a tree tender arrangement. Now, we had one several years ago, maybe about 10 plus years ago, and the leadership just didn't work out. But I think probably that's the way to go, and possibly it could be under the aegis of the EAC. I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but this is something that maybe, John, I could sit down with you and we could, figure out what's the best way of making something like this work.
Sure. It's funny you mentioned the tree tender group. I used to work for a large bank in the Detroit metro area, and we all adopted ATMs, and we would clean ATMs. So every employee, regardless, we all got like a little kit, and you got to adopt an ATM. Similarly, so I knew mine, which is, I don't know, 5 mile in Detroit. But anyway, the point was that we all had, an ATM. Similarly, the tree tenders could volunteer, and they could have a specific group of trees or a section of trees, and they could use it to learn more about, hey, the trees that are here, but also get the tools to help care for the tree. So if that means, if they need help with like, a fertilizer or a tree bag or something like that, then we could make those available potentially, so that, or especially for the newer trees where you want to keep, work on that first year, the sort of golden year, if you will.
Could we get like high school students involved, like go to the schools around here and get in touch with like their environmental programs and see if they would like to kind of like sponsor a tree or a few sets of trees?
Well, we've looked at that, but what we're looking for here, that's good. That's excellent, actually, when we're doing some plantings of shrubs or trees with very, very small calipers. But what we're looking for here is an ongoing thing that's going to take place year after year. And, John, what you were saying too, it could be, let's say if you have 10 or 12 people on the tree tender commission. Well, each year you have a plan, and that plan has to be taken care of each year. Pruning, what else what would we be doing? Not pruning, getting rid of dead trees, mulching, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm thinking of. But your suggestion is good, and we're going to be probably using that in the spring of 2026, because Ellen and I, then in December, we're actually going to come up with a plan for the 2026 spring planting. And we do that. And then, of course, we review it with Jim and management, and, we come up with a final plan. Now, Monica Tierney gets involved in that too, because of the volunteer aspect, and she can get the Boy Scouts and whatever. So anyway, good idea. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on that? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the 2024 Long Range Master Tree Plan, status of 2025 fall plantings, and drafting of our spring 2026 planting recommendations. This fall, and Alan, correct me if I'm wrong, 165 trees are going to be planted in the next couple of days. You want to comment on that, Alan?
Well, hopefully they're going to be planted. Have you seen them being planted anywhere around the township yet? 'Cause-
No, I talked to Jim
Yeah.
Majewski today, and he said it was originally supposed to happen this week, but the landscapers said they needed an additional week, so sometime next week. And when the planning commences, I talked to Jim, and he's going to go out there and take a look at it, and I'm also going to take a look at it. Generally, they did a good job, but one of the things that they didn't do last year that we would expect them to do this year is that when they dig the hole, there's excess dirt. And rather than getting rid of it, they're mounding it up too high and then putting the mulch on top of that. So Jim has a place for them to take care of the excess soil. So hopefully it's going to go very well.
I think the library is going to be the replacement trees outside of the library will be the first batch of trees planted. And they were talking about end of this week. So if it's beginning of next week, that would be.
Yeah, and I think the species chosen was eastern redbud, if I remember correctly. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, and yes, Alan?
Maybe in a couple weeks, we'll go around and look at them, take a tour of the sites where they've planted the new trees.
Yeah, okay, sounds
Yeah.
sounds good. Also, as I alluded to earlier, this December, Alan and I are going to sit down and we're going to scope out a spring planting, which will include shrubs and trees in various areas of the township. And we're thinking of roughly about the same, somewhere between 150 and 200, because the 2024, the old 2016 plan envisioned 1,000 trees that were planted and roughly about 500 or 600 shrubs. So the 2024 plan was more ambitious, and that called for the planting of 1,545 trees, 1,319 shrubs, and 1,500 perennials. Needless to say, I've lived with this. That's why I know the numbers so well. So far, as far as the 2024 plan is concerned, we've planted about 380 trees. So we still have about 1,200 more to go. So it's an ambitious project, but it's working very, very well. And we're increasing the canopy of Lower Makefield Township. All right, any other questions on that agenda item? Alan?
Does everybody have a copy of the plan, the 2024 long range tree planting plan? Because if you have ideas on where to plant trees, let us know. This is a group effort, so if you have any sites,
Yeah, actually, that's a good thought because in the spring 2020, as 2026 planting, what we did in this plan versus the earlier one is we came up with a designation called reserve trees. And we have like 200 or 300 reserve trees because in the earlier plan, as soon as we started planning, we started making changes. So this gives us a lot more flexibility. And so like Alan said, if anybody knows of any public areas where they think trees would be beneficial, please let us know and we'll include that in the plan.
Is there a map of something of where the trees are going to be planted? Do we have a?
Yeah, well,
Not
to the
yet.
165 trees, I'm not sure.
Oh.
We have the areas all noted and the numbers and species, but I don't know if we actually put them on a map. Jim Majewski might have a map for that, I think.
Yeah.
Dominique, do you want a table? I could send you a table of the locations and plant and types of trees and numbers.
Sure.
Yeah, and if anybody else is interested in that, Alan could,
Yeah,
send.
we
send
put
it.
together a table, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that would be
Thank you.
great, I think.
Yeah.
All right. I'll
Send it
just-
out to all of us, Alan, just to
Yeah.
remind.
Okay.
Will do.
All right. Any other questions as far as that's concerned?
Is that your biggest challenge in getting all the trees planted? Is it just finding locations for them, or is there anything else that is a challenge in getting them in the ground?
No, it's actually, none of those items are actually a challenge. They're just work. Okay.
Sure.
The way it actually works is that under the 2024 plan, we paid an outside consulting landscaping firm called Comita and Associates. And they actually toured the whole township and in literally every public area made some recommendations for planting or shrubs.
Great.
And once that's done, that's really beyond, way beyond the scope of anything we could do here locally. So under the Pennsylvania bidding guidelines, John, is it after $10,000 or $20,000? I forget.
It's 20?
After $20,000, it has to go out for bidding. And then, there's things like prevailing wage and all that kind of stuff, that apply. But then we've had several firms bid, generally pick the lowest one. And that's what we've done in the past.
Okay. So basically, it's just up to this person that you've picked to get trees in the ground. You already have locations.
We have the locations. We give them specific planning instructions,
Okay.
which they follow for the most part. But, it's always a good idea to check them out occasionally because they're interested in making money and getting them in the ground quickly. So, all right, any other questions with respect to that item? Okay. Next item we're going to move to is kind of an interesting item. LMT Golf Course proposed new plantings for advanced Audubon certification, Jim and Alan. So back, I guess it was in September, the Board of Supervisors asked the EAC to look into enhanced plantings on the Makefield Highlands Golf Course. And one of the reasons for this is that the golf course management came up, with a plan, but the managers thought that it would be appropriate to have that plan enhanced. And the reason for the enhancement is to obtain advanced Audubon certification. Now, we already have Audubon certification in the golf course, and that started in 2007. And I was actually involved in that process myself and a fellow naturalist from Bowman's Hill called Pam Newitt, at the request of the golf course personnel. We toured the course for a day or two and basically noted all the vegetation that was on site. And then, of course, they applied for the certification and it was received. So accordingly, on October 16th and 28th, October 16th, I toured the golf course with manager Mike Atara and superintendent Mark Peterson. And it took us, well over an hour. And in various areas, we noted where additional plants could be planted. The idea, of course, and you can see that in the letter that, we'll go over just briefly, is this is a links type course. So you have to be pretty careful as far as plant, tree, and shrub placement is concerned, because you don't want to impede the play on the course. However, and then on October 28th, I met again with the superintendent, Mike Atara, and we went over a map of the course and we added significantly more shrubs and some meadow locations to the original plan. So what that actually, and then I guess it was a week or so ago, Alan and I sat down and I had, in the meantime, I had Jim Majewski prepare us some 11 by 17 maps. And we noted on 4 or 5 maps plus one that has all the holes on it, the total golf course map, the specific locations by number of all the plants that we were talking about. And that actually worked out to 157 trees, 105 shrubs, and 4 new meadow locations. So it's pretty ambitious. So Alan and I sat down for a couple of hours and we assigned species to the various shrubs and the locations. And look, here's a caveat. I am not a landscape designer, okay, but I've been around trees a lot. Again, I always like to be referred to as an enthusiastic amateur, okay? But I think we did a fairly good job in selecting species. Firstly, Alan is a golfer, so he knows the course much, much better than I am. So based upon the specific locations, we picked species that we thought would be appropriate for that specific location. And you can see on the table that was handed out, I think everybody's received a copy of this, okay? And you've also received a copy of the letter, all right? And I'm assuming you've both reviewed that. Now, in talking to Alan about the letter, Alan, in a conversation I just had with him a day or two ago, he said he likes the letter, but I think we should also, in the letter, put in a specific recommendation for the 2026 planting. So I think we're going to do that. And I think what we're leaning towards is about 20 trees and 20 shrubs. And I'm not sure about the meadow locations yet. Meadow locations are a little more difficult because there's different ways of actually doing them. You can seed them, you can plug them, but it's not a 5-minute job. And it's something where a conscious decision has to be made as to which method you want to use and how you want to proceed. So,
And it won't come out of the tree bank either. The township will
Right.
have to pay for that.
that's why meadow funds, although they're not real expensive, but the tree bank is basically for trees and shrubs. So anyway, and that's where Elizabeth, maybe you might come in a little later too, when we talk about grants. There's a lot of organizations that maybe could give us some seed money for that. And if not, in talking to the township manager, I think funds would probably be available because we're not talking a lot of money here, John. So any thoughts or inputs about the letter or the exhibit? We welcome any input anybody might have. Okay, well, if we're all in agreement, then I would like a motion to approve, and that motion would have to say something about we're going to amend the letter slightly to incorporate a proposed planning for the 2026 spring time. I'm open to any motion.
I move the motion, but you phrase the motions.
Yeah, I mean, this is not exactly, this meeting is, as you've well noticed, it's not exactly run by Robert's Rules of Orders. Anyway, that's good enough for me. So we have,
You gotta have a second.
I'll second it.
yeah, we do that much, John.
Okay.
We don't ask for a motion.
It is
second.
reported and there are people who audit this.
That's right. That's right.
State will review it and it's all subject to right to know requests. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and we're, by the way,
I know you're.
very cognizant of
I-
that. So. Okay, did we get a second?
Yes.
Okay, All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. This was actually kind of fun too, when you're sitting down, you know, because it's like a buffet almost. Yeah. And you figure, wow, I really like this one. This will look good there and that sort of thing. So, we certainly didn't mind taking care of this project, John. And what we will be doing, John, is releasing this probably Monday, okay, with a letter to the Board of Supervisors. This letter amended to Dave, of course, and
And will you need board action before the end of the year or,
no,
I
Well-
don't think you need the approval?
well, see, I'm not exactly sure. They asked us
Yeah, so
this
you've already,
recommendation.
yeah,
So this is basically a recommendation.
okay.
What the board does with it, hopefully, you know, they'll take it to heart and we'll do some planting in 2026.
Okay.
So.
Doesn't the board approve the 2026 spring planting?
Yes, the board did
So,
approve.
so yeah, some of these trees will be in that, so you'll kind
Oh,
of,
okay, so then it's already been
Theoretically.
approved then.
No,
well,
this.
not yet. We have,
2026 Spring planning hasn't been approved.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
The
Fall
twen-
2025,
Fall's
yeah.
gonna be taken care of.
So this will be part of the spring 2026, which will be a separate agenda item, probably
Exactly.
January,
Right.
maybe?
Yeah, we would like to get it, the work that Ellen and I will do, as early as possible.
Okay.
Because I think the earlier you get this out for quotes,
You often get better,
you get
so
better results.
like with road stuff, if you do it in the off season, you get better bids.
Exactly.
We've kind of tested that over time, but yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, let's see now what, okay, the next item, item 5, Homeowners Association, HOAs, contact info for publicity. And this is not a big deal, but Dominique, I know you've been working on some of these homeowners. As a matter of fact, I think you told me once that you had a referral or somebody contacted you from Regency, which was.
Regency, yeah. but
So would
that's-
you like to comment on that briefly?
What, I have about 5 names and I didn't bring them. So I write to them every time and remind them of the event coming up. And only one person replied from Regency. But then at the last meeting, there was, no, it was something else. There was a lady from Regency, so the styrofoam pickup. She said she was from Regency and she heard through the Homeowners Association. So I guess it's working. Hopefully it's working for the others, but I don't know. Who comes.
Well, I personally think it's working. I think, you know, you've been doing a really fine job for us, Dominique, because in a little while, we'll be talking about the single-use plastics bag seminar too. And we had, I would think, a lot more people attending that we normally would not have without this kind of publicity going out anymore. All right, the next item on the agenda, any questions or comments on Dominique's report? All right, the next item on the agenda is a recycling recap of November 1st and preparation for the scheduled January 10th event. Alan, you want to talk about that?
well, everything went smoothly. I think we've got a well-oiled machine now after about 16, 17 of these. We got a good group of volunteers and everything went smoothly. I think we had 80 bags of styrofoam. That was a count, somewhere around then. And so January 10th, mark your calendars. Anybody who can come and help out, show up. I think the only uncertainty at this point is the weather, but we'll see. Hopefully no snowstorms.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever been canceled to the weather, but you know, if it's
Yeah.
really crappy, I guess we could just do it the following week, I suppose.
Yeah, we've got the flyer already put together, and I think Dominique, you have it, and Paul, you have it.
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, and the township has it, so we're getting the word out.
Yeah, and that the flyer this year this year's photo really turned out super. I mean, you see all the people and you see all those bags, and this was 80 bags. And Christmas right after Christmas in early January. That's our biggest collection of the year. And once we had 120, I think, 50-gallon bags, okay, which was pretty amazing. And I also want to say that I am the bag tire, and that's a specific form of expertise, okay? And the main reason I did it is because I could get to sit down for a while, but we're having so successful of collections, I can't sit anymore. However, and in all humility, I had one woman tell me last collection that I was tying the bags beautifully. Anyway, but yeah, okay, that's certainly enough of that, but all right, like even what Jeanne said, look, you get what you get, okay? So, all right, the next item is Birdtown, PA. And Jeanne, you want to just give us a little recap of what's going on?
Yes, Saturday morning, Juanita Hummel, who is a renowned bird person, is going to be doing a lecture right here at 10 o'clock. And we've had a lot of interest in it. And I urge everybody to, she knows just everything about birds. And so it's going to be a very entertaining, I believe, lecture. So I urge everybody who loves birds to come. And I think you'll be glad you did. And we're still trying to collaborate with Bowman's for a children's program, but that's kind of still up in the air. And I don't think we have any other presentations coming on the rest of this year, but we have some very fun lectures and presentations planned for the early next year. So.
Okay, thank you. Now, for the Birdtown, PA lecture this Saturday, I think, this is really a hot topic. Birding, I think, and gardening are the number 1 and 2 hobbies in the United States. And we generally just always get a pretty good turnout for that. So I think we'll have 2 registration tables out in the hallway for this. And if you could get those people who want to help out, get here between, like, say, 9 and 9:15 on Saturday morning. The room is all set up now. Unfortunately, the last lecture we had, I'm glad we went the night before because there was a blood drive, and the blood drive people did not put the chairs and everything back. So we certainly took care of that. So probably, being somewhat paranoid, I'll probably just drop over here Friday evening just to make sure.
Saturday morning and.
Yeah, well, anyway, my worst nightmare is that you have 50 or 60 people in an audience and the thing doesn't work. Okay, so I do everything possible to make sure that that simply does not happen. So, there was one other thing I had wanted to mention about that, and it's kind of escaping me now, except Juanita Hummel is a fellow naturalist with me at Bowman's Hill Wildflower Preserve. Not only is she a lovely woman, but as Jeanne alluded to, this woman knows more about birds than anybody I've ever met in my life. And I've met a lot of people who are into birds. So I think we're in for really a good time this Saturday morning. All right. Next item, land use reviews. No new submittals, Alan. I guess anything else going on anywhere?
Right, it's been quiet. Well, I wanted to ask John, are the supervisors thinking about some kind of master plan for the Shady Brook area for the development of that? Was that on your agenda?
Yes. So we've
We've engaged a consultant to develop a plan for the Shady Brook, well, essentially everything in that quadrant where Prickett Preserve is and coming over to where the historic area is. And the reason for that is we would like to have some control over the eventual outcome of that area. And by developing a plan and getting public input, we'll have more control over the process. And one of the things that's challenging with Pennsylvania state law is developers can run the clock a little bit and determine what can be done as it relates to the subdivision and land development process. And I guess I can say, last year, we made a change to what the OR zoning was in that area. And one of the changes very simple change that we made was that if you wanted to build a warehouse, it would have to have direct Board of Supervisors approval. And you'd ask, well, why would you do that? Or why haven't we written anything for data centers? I'll get to that in a little bit. We do that because we don't want to have a situation where developers come in and say, well, if you don't let me build X, I'm going to build by right a warehouse, right? And that gets everybody all agitated, what have you. This is a chance for us to kind of set the stage for how we would like Edgewood Village to grow. And we've made some progress over the years. It hasn't come as much as we'd want, but also the area around Prickett Preserve, Shady Brook as well. Publicly, Shady Brook has made mentions of their plans. They have not submitted anything formally to the township in any way, shape, or form. They have petitioned Middletown to sell part of the farm for a 55-plus community that would need a right-of-way through LMT. So that probably will be going through the Planning Commission at some time. So this is our way to get ahead of that. And it had a very unique, it was I think it was a 3-2 vote. And different folks who normally don't always vote together voted that way. And I think for some folks, people that had previously were supportive of Prickett Preserve saw some of the downsides of it and the lack of control over some of the elements of how that eventually turned out. I do think, it's rough now because it's still under development, but probably will be better than what it is now, or okay. But I think many supervisors wanted to get a sense of what we could do to envision something that was more pedestrian friendly. And I know crossing 295 is not ideal, but there are ways to do it. Making something truly mixed use, because the McCaffreys and giant shopping centers will likely have some form of redevelopment coming down the road. And then I would say potentially, accessible housing options for people. So that's an area where, there's work to do, but there's potential that could be done there in a way that I think benefits the community long run. So that's why the supervisors proposed that, and why the three who voted for it, I'm in that category, want to have more sort of citizen input in that process so that we don't have something where everybody's showing up, they're not happy with X or what have you. So we're investing tax dollars. We'll likely get that back and more during the development process for sure. But I know, Alan, you'll probably, if you want, I have the proposals. We went with Michael Baker, which I didn't know they had a really interesting planning group. We had a sort of bake-off with that because I had known them from road work that we've done and some other engineering tasks. So I'm curious to see how that process works out. There will be public input for it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't need their submittal, their proposal, but when do you think the draft will be ready for the
My
master?
sense is that that'll be developed over next year. So I would think a draft would be coming. I don't want to, it's hard for me to estimate. Again, wouldn't have control, but maybe second, third quarter of next year.
Okay, because we'd be interested in that.
Well, my hope would be EAC members could potentially, in the public, design charrette discussion element, come in and bring perspective to that. Especially, I think, as it relates to not just like, stormwater management challenges we have and stuff like that, but understanding how we kind of think about development in general in a way that's responsible for the community. So, and I think often the process isn't as inclusive as one would like, and our hope is that we get more people involved in that, so that that they can bring input that will lead to a better outcome, and that we'll have more control over that to be better advocates for the community with that process.
All right,
Thank you very much,
we're
Sean.
interested.
All right, any comments? We'll go on to the next agenda item.
Well, I had a question.
Mhm.
Isn't the area shared with other towns?
Is what?
Isn't the area, the whole area, isn't it shared?
Part of it, so like, people, when they speak of Shady Brook Farms, part of Shady Brook Farm is in Middletown,
Right,
parts in Lower Makefield, and parts in Newtown Township.
right.
So, and a lot of what people think of is there's, in addition to Shady Brook, some of that land is already owned by Jefferson Hospital Group. There's multiple landowners involved. Those are the large open tracts that people see right now. Again, the Shady Brook property owners they said that they want to continue their agri-attainment business there. And so only parts of that property would be developed. But I think it gives us a chance to envision how do we retain that agri-attainment experience and bring in visually design-wise. I think we all have a sense of what Bucks County looks like in a way. And it has a design sensibility that I don't know that we've articulated. Like, I don't think the Planning Commission doesn't have hey, here's Bucks County architecture, because we have diverse architecture. But this is a chance for us to say, hey, how would this look and be part of a broader community?
All right, thank you, John.
Mhm.
Next item on the agenda is the proposed single-use plastics ban. On November 8th, we had an information seminar. And by the way, I want to thank personally Dominique for all the legwork involved in getting that up and going. And also Eleanor, who did a wonderful job as moderator. So Eleanor and Dominique, how about some comments from both of you?
Go ahead,
You want to go first?
No, you go first.
Well, I think we had a great turnout and a very constructive conversation that represented both sides of the issue and learned a lot about concerns and support for the ban. I think overall it was a success, and I think Farron did an excellent job presenting on the issue. He raised, countless issues on just single-use plastics in general. For the health and for the health of humans and the environment. So he did an excellent job, and Elaine McCarran was extremely wonderful in her presentation of how things went for Newtown. So I thought it was a really great lecture. How about you, Dominique?
Yeah, I thought it was very, very good too. I mean, Baron was so easy to understand and follow, and he was very articulate, but I thought I was disappointed by the turnout. I have to say, after writing to all these organizations and inviting so many people, it didn't seem to me that many people. But you said, Jim, you're right, that it's not a very sexy subject.
Yeah, this is what I would not call a sexy presentation, and we had between 30 and 40 people there. So I thought it was a good presentation, okay? But it's not like having a live falconry exhibition where I mean, look, single-use plastic, this is very, very, very important, okay? But again, it's not a live falconry exhibition. So
I think we could strategize too. Next time we have an event like this, we can strategize on how to really get the word out, not just in terms of flyers, but digitally as well. So we can talk about that forward.
yeah, and I think one of the messages that resonated to me from the seminar was that some people, and they really weren't naysayers, but they said something about, well, the whole issue of plastics in the environment is overwhelming. And I tend to agree with that, but single-use plastic bags is a step in the right direction as far as I'm concerned, okay? You have to start somewhere. And I think this is an excellent place to start. Now, Farron also indicated that just around in this area in Pennsylvania, I think there's about 40 or 50 communities that already have this type ordinance in effect. And throughout the United States at this stage, there's roughly about 40% of the citizens of the United States are covered by ordinances of this type. So one of the questions that I have is how do we proceed from here? And that's why our liaison, John Lewis, is going to be very helpful. We were talking about starting out with some kind of a survey, John. What's your thinking about something like that?
Certainly, if you're looking to build support for that, that can be helpful. In talking to supervisors, there's some concerns over how things have operated in New Jersey and California as well. And I think the challenge will be getting people to think about this in a different way. And that's a framing issue. And there's an environmental component to this, right? Which is single-use plastics are a pain in the rear, both from a environmental perspective, aren't often reused, all that sort of stuff. But some of the bans have had unintended consequences, where people end up in the California example, when you go to a grocery store, they sell you the thicker plastic bags. And the good news is those thicker plastic bags are actually reusable, which is great. I use them when I travel, but that's not really the intent. And the question is, how do you position this in a way that that gets the maximum environmental benefit and also makes it easier for supervisors to be supportive of it? And I think, unfortunately, I wish there was a way we could potentially capture revenue for the municipality. That would be certainly interesting. And then part of the single-use plastics was a response to paper bags, right? Being, and it turns out paper bags in retrospect are probably not as bad and are recyclable easy compared to single-use plastic. And the part of this that's harder is that the state doesn't allow municipalities to craft, taxes and bans in the way that be most effective. Which is why one of my fellow supervisors was arguing that, say, Bucks County should do this, right? But they would be limited in what they could do as well in terms of the structure of that. So my sense is that surveys are helpful. Please, and I can say this with peace and love, don't use that change.org thing and send an online petition. I stand with State Senator Mally McMorrow to say that's wrong. We're against those because all they do, I get them constantly. And I like the chicken coop example, right? That got a huge group of people. And it's like, you can't respond as an elected easily to answer questions or things like that. So those things, but surveys are certainly eligible. I think it'd be curious to see, we use a service called Zen City that you might see social media ads asking for perspectives on what it's like to live in the township. You could certainly ask Dave Kratzer if you could put a question about single-use plastic bans in the mix there. I think once you got over about 300 response, you'd have something relatively statistically significant in that you get some engage. The hard part is that many of the people that might be supportive might be outweighed by the ones who are vehemently opposed for other reasons. And so you have to find a way to make it that pitch work in a way that will address their concerns as well. So, and I think the unintended consequences one is the one. It's why in June of last year, California retooled their plastic bag ban. It'd be great to see how that's going now. to get some perspective of it. The New Jersey ban has the consequence that people are buying the plastic reusable bags, but they're buying more of them, and they're not, so the net use of plastic still increasing. So that's where this balance comes, right? And I think supervisors are concerned about, they want the policy that is best for the environment, right? And they don't necessarily want those unintended consequences.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And Barron actually addressed the issue in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
He addressed the issue in California as well. Now, the way I look at it, we are poised in a very, very advantageous position right now because we've had all these ordinances in. We know what works. We know what doesn't work. And I think what we are prepared to come up with initially is something, I want to say, modest in scope that actually addresses the problem, but is not far ranging. Okay. Newtown has provided a beautiful example for us. Elaine McCarran was one of the presenters, and she made it very, very clear. If she was doing it again, there would be some minor changes, and they've made minor changes. And the same thing with California and New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So our goal right now, I think, is to gain information for the rest of the year, hopefully run a survey. And then what we would like to do early next year is make a presentation to the board with their approval about single-use plastic bags and the benefits that we think are associated with that kind of ordinance.
Mhm.
How does that sound to you, John?
Well, it's a reasonable approach. As far as I know, I will not be the chair next year. So,
Mhm.
but you never know. Hopefully no one's listening. But, and that would be up to the chair's discretion about setting that for next year. So I think, if there's time for, there's clearly enough time to sort of make that case. And once it's clear, who the chair is, or we tend to rotate, so you're going to have a rough idea who that might be without getting in trouble here.
Yeah.
And
Well, we also think the climate might be a little better next year, okay, as far as the timing for this.
possibly,
Again, we're going to be doing a lot of research, and when hopefully we're able to make a presentation, we have the people there who can answer all the questions.
right.
And that's the key. I think.
Yeah. And this is for anybody who's watching at home. As a liaison, normally my goal is not to, how do I say this? Let you do your work. And also, I don't necessarily want to give inside perspectives of supervisors without them being here to make their.
Yeah, I understand your input is personal, John, but it's always well-intentioned and well-received. So
Yeah.
we're not going to rat on you or anything like that.
Well, it's all taped, so.
And it's all on tape, so
Yeah.
all above board. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments?
I had one comment. It was a great point from an attendee that we need KPIs for these things. Like, we need to know if it's working. I think that was a big takeaway. Was one person asked, like, how is this working for Newtown? And, I don't know. I mean, obviously Elaine is not on the EAC there anymore, but I think that there was some, an inability to answer that question. So I think it would be really amazing if we could put together, like, what does success look like for the board?
Mhm.
So that we have like trackable, if we can actually implement this, that we have like a trackable system. And that way, if it's not working, then we can rethink it. Yeah.
But it was also Ellen Snyder, who was a supervisor at Newtown, also said that she would love to come and talk to us. And she's the one now who is in charge and And she has always said that it was very successful in Newtown, but you're right, maybe with numbers and things, she could be the person to talk to.
Yeah, and I've spoken to Ellen about this issue. Obviously, she's a big proponent of it, but the KPIs are part of how do you tell everybody what the right choice is on this? And also too, I get the perspective of a straight up ban because there are certain things that are just evil, like PFAS. I'm sure there's uses for PFAS, don't get me wrong, but they should be few and far between. They shouldn't be everywhere. But there are policy techniques that don't involve banning that achieve a similar outcome in changing behavior. And so if it's not possible to get a ban, or if there is not support in that way, are there alternatives that could be positioned to get some of that value of what we're all shooting for? Or alternatively, in advance of a ban, are there, for lack of a better term, marketing things that we could be doing to encourage people to stop using plastic bags? I will tell you personally, my behavior's changed. So I used to have a purebred Shih Tzu, Molly, and I would reuse the plastic bags for dog waste. And that was kind of, I figured, okay, well, that's at least a good use. Since her passing, I'm trying to avoid them by getting the paper bags and the delivery or the pickup, right? So that's sort of like how you can change behavior. And again, all I did was switch behavior. You didn't have to ban the bags. I'm just not getting them, you know.
I think that's why we think education is very important.
Mhm.
That's why-
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent point, but we're not talking, though, about a voluntary ban, because they tried that in Newtown and it was a disaster. Simply did not work. And the things, I tend to like mandated things if they are appropriate and legal. For instance, I think the native plant ordinance, which I think in this town has been a smashing success, is because you have to do it. It's not something, well, I might want to do it. I don't think I want to do it. You have to do it. And as a result, I think it's been very, very successful.
Yeah, but that targets a very specific situation, which is the land development situation where you have in that process some leverage over some of the outcome and the ability to mandate certain things. This one is a little different and involves direct consumers, right?
Right.
And their behavior and how that drives businesses. That's why I'm suggesting thinking about other techniques, even in advance of a potential, decision to ban, right? Because there are folks that may not be there for that decision. And there are some trade-offs here with any policy decision. You're never going to have something that's perfect, right? And the key thing is sometimes we've come across situations that people say, well, you're not going to be able to write an ordinance that's constitutional, will pass muster. A great example is that short-term rental ordinance. People don't know about this now, but we had a problem with Airbnb party houses, right? So we wrote an ordinance that we worked really hard to find one that would meet constitutional muster. And then we had to keep revising it because the perpetrators kept changing their behavior to game the system. And so we had to keep going at it a couple different ways. But the net is we had an early one years before others did. And we kept changing it and modifying it and getting to a place where I think we're pretty good. Not perfect. We still have one person who's a bit of a challenge. But similarly, is there something here? Where are most of our single-use plastic bags coming from, right? Is it, it's grocery stores, convenience stores, pharmacies, right? Takeout restaurants, yeah. And this is, again, another option that would be great. The problem is the state kind of limits us. There was proposed state legislation that would overturn municipal bans and limit the ability of municipalities to do that. So that's been brought up a couple times in the state legislature. Again, it'd be great if our state legislature, instead of doing stuff like that to protect a specific factory in a specific town, would push for the tools to allow municipalities either to tax plastic bags so that we capture the true social cost of what they provide, what they cost us,
or state makes a decision like New Jersey or California did, blanket that, and that would solve some of those issues as well. And so that's why I think it's both, and a lot of times we're kind of limited on the municipal side to sometimes very difficult, not always optimal outcomes.
Right. It's my understanding, though, that the state of Pennsylvania actually canceled that law or deleted it or whatever,
Yeah.
because that was really draconian, the law as originally written, when they particularly prohibited
A ban.
townships
Mhm.
for banning, plastics. I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do need to leave soon. So if you'd like to discuss environmental grants, do you mind if we do that very quickly?
sure.
Or we can move.
Yeah,
to
I
the
think so.
next
I
meeting?
think, are we finished with the single?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, John.
I've taken my
for your
beat down.
input.
Yeah.
All right, Elizabeth, okay, environmental grants. And we have the attachment, we have an old attachment, but Elizabeth just sent me a brand new attachment, okay?
I just added some new grants to the list that,
All right. I think the key is, I went over the list and yeah, it's a lot of grants. Now, which are the ones that you think, maybe you could speak at their next meeting, that are really applicable to us here, that things that we could actually do? And one of the things that we're very interested in is electric charging stations for cars. And John, I talked to Dave about that too. And I think this is something that would, gain interest by the board. So,
Jeanne brought to my attention the Trees for Watershed program. That grant is due by the end of the year for 2026. So that would be, it sounds like something that would be beneficial for us, although the timeline for that, we need to kind of act on it now. Otherwise, the thing about grants is if you have projects that are ongoing, we can try to get the grants to offset some of the funding. I tried to put together this list to give you an idea of what's out there from what I could see to give you an idea of, okay, maybe you had something about, recycling on your mind, so you can see that there is a grant possibility out there that we can target. Otherwise, to me, the best approach with grant making is having an idea of a project or a topic you want to tackle, and then I can have a more targeted search approach to find grants that will be very specific to the goal.
I think one of the things that we are very interested in is electric car charging stations, okay? I think that would be a real plus for the township. And what I'd like to do next meeting, Elizabeth, is firstly put this higher on the agenda and just go over the new list, the updated list that you sent me, and I'll make sure everybody has a copy of that. And we just go item by item saying, does this work? Does that not work? And also, if all the members come up with some projects that they think would be beneficial for the township, that we'd like to obtain a grant for. Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Right, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, did you get that email I sent right before the meeting?
Yes, I did. I will take a look at it. He sent an email about some videos that were from a workshop about grants that the PA, I think, Department of,
Conservation and Natural Resources.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So they have some great information about specific grants that they are doing and some videos to give more information.
Yeah, and one of the grants is for land acquisition. And I know the township's looking into maybe picking up some open space. And if it happens soon enough, maybe we could apply for the grant. I think it's due in February. But if the property has a lot of environmental benefits, woodlands, streams, things like that, we might get half of it covered by this state. So John, you would be interested in that, right?
Very much so. The question would be timing.
Yeah,
That-
they're due in February, the
Right,
grant
but
requests.
the acquisition, if that were to occur before February, would not be eligible for the grant then?
It might be. I think there must be a overlap period where the township's gonna buy this property, this is the benefits of it, describe it. And what I'll do is I'll look into this, Elizabeth, maybe we can both look into that specific grant because we might be able to use it real quick. And I don't think the township has gotten a grant from, what is it called? DCNR in a while. The last one I saw on their list that we got was almost 50 years ago for 5 Mile Woods, paid part of it. So they owe us. So maybe we can get money.
All right.
But the Trees for Watershed one, we would have the money for a cash or in-kind match for any grant because we could use that tree bank for that probably, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any
Yeah.
reason why we couldn't.
Yeah. Um,
All right, we're actually going to have to move on now because we're going to get kicked out of here shortly. So we have 3 or 4 more items that I think we can handle quickly. The next item is the Environmental Stewardship Award. And award this every year to a worthy group or individual, and there's a $1,000 stipend. I've given some thought to this, and I think other people have. Does anybody have a nomination?
No, but it might be great to post out on the township website and just say, hey, we're looking for nominations. Submit some.
Well, we've done this before, and generally, the results have not been real good. So in the last several years, firstly, I think we would almost have to decide the recipient this meeting or at very last, the next meeting. What I was thinking of, and I talked to Jeanne and I forget who else, maybe Alan about this, the refillery in town. It's a brand new business. My wife spends half her waking hours there anymore. It's been very exaggeration. Sorry about that. It's I know the people who work there. So far it's been very successful, and I think this is the kind of business that would be very worthy of our award. Any input?
They're in Yardley though. So it might-
Yeah, they're in Yardley,
Yeah.
not in the township.
We've
Well, the owner or one of the part owners is actually a former Lower Makefield Township supervisor.
oh,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So is that some kind of a conflict? I don't think
it wouldn't be, no, it's been, since, it's been 10 years since he's been on the
Right.
board. I mean, it wouldn't be a conflict in any way.
Yeah, we have given awards in the past for Friends of the Delaware Canal. I think maybe Bowman's Hill. I forget. So the idea is it's a regional type award. So what's everybody's opinion about that?
How about that project,
Spear-
Spearhead
Spearhead,
Project
yeah.
Earth?
That would be the next one, I think.
Yeah,
That was-
and that's exactly it's a brand new place.
Mm.
During the single-use plastic seminar, I was talking to the people and the owner is real interesting. There's going to be a definite collaboration there. And I'm thinking probably next year they would be an ideal candidate. So for now, what are feelings about you having the refillery?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I need a motion.
Um, can we see a write-up on what they do?
Can we have a
and-
motion to nominate
Elect-
the refillery as the recipient of this year's environmental award?
Okay, and then you say-
Super.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so be it. All right. And this is one of the things that I will take care of. I have a long experience with the awards people and the write-ups and everything else too. So, all right, the next thing real quick, the EAC lecture series. And, for the lectures, we always got everything done, but it was, did you do this or did you do that? So I came up with this list and I'm a list person. I tend to be obsessive compulsive, and this certainly demonstrates that, I think, to a high degree. However, I think it's a good idea, and I think we should approve something like this with any modifications or changes that anybody thinks are appropriate. So. Well, I am. Okay.
I haven't really looked at it
All
yet.
right. Well, look, I mean, this is not rocket science, so I would like to get this list approved, and if we want to change it in the future, that's no big deal. I think I've given this some thought, though. I think it covers just about all the bases. So I would entertain a motion to approve the EAC checklist for lectures and presentations.
Motion to approve the checklist.
Okay,
I propose that.
that's good. That's good.
Motion seconded.
Now we need a second.
I'll second it. Aye.
Okay. That does it. EAC lecture series. Our calendar is full for the year, 2026 suggestions. Now, Eleanor has graciously volunteered to do a lecture on fall fashion next year. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking like mid-April. And John, we've just been finding out that clothes are like 60% plastic or something like that. I forget. I mean, this is,
John knows.
I know, yeah.
John knows.
And even the ones you think of that are good, right, aren't necessarily good. In fact, what's the brand that's, oh gosh, the guy who just created the trust?
Oh, Yvonne Chenard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patagonia, they have plastics in their stuff. In fact, this shirt, which I'm like, I didn't realize how much plastic was in there. So yes, it's a big issue. If it's a fall fashion thing,
Well, spring fashion,
well,
fashion week.
A fast fashion.
fast fashion.
Fast fashion.
Because, I'm in the market for a stylist. And so at this point, I'm like, I don't know, it might not take.
This is a non-plastic.
That's right.
yeah.
This is one of yours? Yeah. Wow. Nice.
All right. So how about you pick a date in mid-April on a Saturday that works for you, and we'll talk about it next meeting. And you'll be probably the second person to be able to use our EAC checklist. And I bet you're really.
So exciting.
All right. The other thing is we already have booked a lecture by Mike Wilbacher, the Naughty by Nature lecture that went over really, really big last year.
Did you see that? You must see it.
No.
It is so.
It was an absolute classic. We even gave a large box of Godiva chocolates to the person whose birthday was closest to Valentine's Day. Because this, Naughty by Nature, it's about, how can I say it, lovemaking in the animal kingdom or something. But it's PG-13. Okay, so you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about.
It is, but it's fun.
Specific.
It's informative.
I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
It was
And
great.
what I was going to do too with this, Elizabeth left, but I'm going to talk to her to see if she would be the lecture leader for this. So my new idea is that, so I have less work. Very candid about it, okay? So that each one of these lectures, we appoint a leader that takes care of
Mhm.
all the logistics from
Yep,
beginning to
that's the checklist.
And of course, Alan, who is our gifted,
What are you saying?
Ellen.
You should
our
Yeah.
gifted publicity poster maker or graphic artist,
work.
right? And also Dominique, who is our publicist. All right, now let me see.
We're gonna have
I
to,
know.
Jim, we're gonna have to table number 15 and 14 for
Yeah,
next time.
I think so.
But one point of order, we didn't approve the minutes from the September meeting. We need to
did.
do that. But we just did the October meeting.
No, September 11th and October 9th.
Oh, we did both. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, we stop at item 13.
Yeah.
And, okay, so officially this meeting is over, so the next group can take over in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you all for your presence.
See you later.